Do you think DC will give Joker a kid?
God, I hope not.
No. You know, I think it would be good. I think
no, because there's
think about it.
The Joker won't be portrayed protagonistically, and there's no good way to really
give Damian a good villain. Because Damian doesn't have a rogues gallery.
There's no good way to glorify what a horrible parent the Joker would be.
But
they're not going to make the Joker a good parent because that's going to take away what makes him a good villain. The fact that he is such a good villain, he can't be allowed to have children.
And they wouldn't cut the kid off from him either. He
right? No,
never leave it alone.
Comic would be hard up, hardcore, straight hard R. Image,
great storytelling.
No, it would be Image Comics. That would not be mainstream Batman.
Yeah.
There would be people not reading this comic and not letting their kids read it anymore.
Because we all know
when does DC when does DC care about their kids when it comes to mainstream comics? You don't see a 10-year-old picking up Batman, do you? I mean, you do, but more and more it's going to be young adults and like people your age reading Batman. They have stories for kids.
Yeah. But you still need to not lose mass appeal.
You think you'd lose? I think it'd only gain mass appeal. Joker has a son. That is a huge deal. I'm thinking about in The Killing Joke. His wife was pregnant. He was going to have a son. Yes,
The Killing Joke. Well, no. The Killing Joke is mature themes. That's not broad mass.
Okay.
So broad mass is now obviously today it's very different, but you need to be able to sell it bookstore and newsstand. Now, admittedly, again, the newsstand distribution is almost totally done.
Okay.
But that's by broad base. Broad base would be the kid, the parent, the brother, the cousin. But if it's mature themes, only parents, then it's no longer broad mass. So in order to not lose the broadest appeal, there's this book, there's that title, there's this other title. But good afternoon, sir.
Make sure I'm not interrupting anything.
But yeah, now Tom King's Batman has the current widest appeal across the line, as opposed to All-Star Batman, which is a little more niche-y. Certainly for my store purposes, I'd say Batman, and I'm just going off the top of my head here based on subscription numbers, Batman sells about twice as much as Snyder and Capullo's book. About 3 times as much as The Dark Knight, The Master Race. Master Race sells well. The more edgier Batman stories, they sell well. I'm not complaining about that. But Batman outsells everything else.
Well, yeah, because it's Batman. It's not. You're not.
Of the Batmans, Batman and Detective sell more than the other Batman titles.
Okay, but if you're using that logic, well, people who are Superman fans are going to go right to Superman. They're not going to go to Action yet.
Right, but we're not comparing apples to oranges. And a lot of people who read Superman also read Action because it's the same share of characters in both books. They're getting their Lois Lane, Jonathan White, might make an appearance, and it's the same Superman. As opposed to New Superman or Superwoman, which is the Lana Lang, or Supergirl, because that's Supergirl. Superman and Action, you share the same family of characters there. So but there isn't, for example, a more mature all-star Superman like there is an all-star Batman. Again, Scott Snyder's book.
Okay. Then why didn't DC come out with a Joker book?
There was a Joker book in the 70s. It lasted 9 issues, I think. It's hard to make that character a protagonist. He's a good villain, but the nature of superhero comic stories is predicated on good triumphing over evil. This means Joker doesn't get to win. Well, if he never gets to win in his own book, it becomes tiresome to read. But if the Joker makes a periodic appearance where he bedevils the hero, and then you take him away before you beat a dead horse, that's how that works. For the same reason, Lex Luthor has never had a long-running continuing series. Reverse Flash has never had a long-running continuing series. You don't just give a villain a book because they're a cool villain. It's the hero's book, and the villain loses. At the end of the day, the villain has to get beaten. That's the nature of the superhero story.
But wouldn't Joker work outside of just Batman?
Sure, but then he still gets beaten by Superman. He gets beaten by Wonder Woman. He gets beaten by Tim Drake. He gets wherever the villain appears. It's not just the Joker. It's villain. Villain loses. That's the formula. You give that character. That's why Deathstroke didn't have his own book until he became an anti-hero. He was in the Titans, the Teen Titans, and then the Titans. And then he slowly morphed into an anti-hero, so much less of a mercenary. He's more of a regular character, and as a protagonist, now he gets to win cleanly. It's like, oh, I beat you, because you're the villain, and I'm an anti-hero. Again, the nature of the superhero story.
You can't have does it have to be, though, that formula? Can it just be, just going back to the Sun, does it have to, why can't you just have a book where the Joker teaches the Joker teaches his son how he does things? You don't feel like that could work?
I don't think that if you stay true to the nature of the Joker as a character, I don't think that he could be a parent. I don't think that it would be that passing on, that oh, this is my son, let me show my son how to be chaotic.
Would there really be an image of how the Joker would, teach that to someone? That would be more like carving it into it. We all know how the Joker operates. If you put like a kid, an infant, in that kind of environment, the only way the Joker is going to do anything in that nature is to
me, there are two examples. The first one is when they were doing the villains one shot, the Joker, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, has an instance where he's trying to make a kid like him. And then also, if you've ever seen the Batman Beyond movie where Tim Drake is transformed into a version of the Joker by mind control, by breaking him, by making him mentally ill. I think that you don't sure it doesn't have to be his born kid, just like the Joker's daughter. Make someone or make a character just like him.
Well, there's a strong difference between corrupting someone like, say, Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. Okay, she's an adult.
Okay.
She has a psychiatry degree. So she has fallen into this insanity. And I'm okay with the way that story is told. I would be much more uncomfortable by depicting abusive parenting at the infant level or the small child level. I mean, yeah, children are going to be threatened by a psychopath, sociopath, and every kind of crazy you can think of, like the Joker. And you get into different types of storytelling tropes. How's it going there, folks? Come in.
Sorry.
Man, I got the whole family.
Yeah.
What did I do to deserve this? But I think that that's a type of story, whether it's been told or not. It's not a matter of whether or not it's been told. It's whether or not it's a good idea to try. I don't think that's a good idea to try.
Normally, when you give those kinds of villains children, aren't they normally supposed to be in some sort of redeeming factor?
Like ordinarily, yes, it's some kind of, it's a point of redemption. That's the way that story is told. And it works that way. There's a reason why some formulas work and some formulas don't. You can monkey with a formula to a degree, but when you're talking about a specific character and staying true to that specific character, to stay true to the Joker in all of his myriad facets, whether it's the canny crime boss with the weird twist, the comedic clown twist, or whether it's the violent sociopath or the just purely straight up crazy, or any combination thereof. Let me take a little bit of the chaos from Heath Ledger and a little of the canny crime guy from Jack Nicholson and a little bit of Jared Leto, and then let me get a whole lot of Mark Hamill in here for cartoony effect and the fact that Mark Hamill's voice is so perfect, and blend that into a Joker. But even still, that character shouldn't be broadly shown as some kid's parent. That's a story like that might work, say, on the level of Alan Moore's Watchmen. You take the Joker and make it an archetype, so it's not DC's trademarked character, the Joker. It's an archetype based on the Joker. And this is the situation. That villain archetype has had a child, and he's raised that child. What is the point of this? One, are we going to have to sit through 25 years of publishing to see the kid become an adult, or are we going to rush to the point where that kid is now old enough to do crazy things, which is going to age that character's supporting cast? Step back for 2 seconds, look at potentially the Joker's kid. Hey, we're going to see the Joker raise his kid, and his kid is going to become a new kind of crazy. All right, if I get that kid to the 13-year-old stage, I've just added 13 years to Batman's life too, and 13 years to the Flash's life and Green Lantern's life, and everybody.
But don't have him be a Joker-born kid. Have him be a kid off the street.
So then now we've just got Joker picking up a kid and adopting him.
Yeah, in a way.
Kidnapping a kid. Well,
is that something the Joker would do?
Now, here's my problem with the story.
Okay.
Joker kidnaps a kid. Batman is going to rescue that kid before it gets to be too terribly unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't. He didn't rescue Jason Todd before he died.
Showed up too late. Yes, he was too late to prevent a murder.
Okay.
You have a limited window of opportunity, but you're going to have a kidnapped victim, and you're going to have that victim tomorrow until I find you, or the day after until I find you. But Batman is going to be effective.
But maybe by that time, he's already turned the kid.
I don't know that you can ruin a kid.
Kids are a lot more. Kids are a lot more.
What, impressionable?
Nah, what's the right word? They're a lot more easier to control. They're a lot more manipulative, or easy to manipulate.
They're definitely manipulative.
They are. When you're in the adolescent stage, you're a lot more to pick up something than you were when you're 25.
Well, what you're talking about is something much more like a Stockholm Syndrome, and it would logically take a lot longer than a few days. The question would be, how long would it take for Batman to find the Joker and this
he would have to find
child?
out first.
Okay.
He doesn't know where the Joker is 24/7. Let's say Batman defeats Joker, and he doesn't see Joker for like a year. Let's say he picks up 6 months. 6 months, halfway through that year, he picks up this kid. You have 6 months of torturing that kid until he breaks.
Well, here's the thing, and we're so far off of our original topic. Batman fights the Joker. Joker gets away. Mm-hmm. Batman does not stop looking for him. Batman beats the Joker. Joker ends up in Arkham. There's no opportunity to kidnap a kid. I'm stuck in Arkham. So either I pursue him until I catch him, or I've already caught him. These are the two outs for a Batman versus Joker story. For the Joker to be on his own for any great length of time, and Batman unaware of his activities, like he's not actively looking, that's in violation of the Batman character. He's not going to let the Joker be loose that long without actively, and I mean actively, pursuing that.
Okay, so in the New 52, you had the death of the family storyline. He throws Joker off the cliff. He doesn't know where the Joker goes.
Right. Okay. And the succession of events after that, again.
Eventually leads you to Endgame.
Yes.
The next time he sees him.
Assuming not right or fiat, because obviously that is what Scott Snyder wanted to happen. So it was going to happen whether he wanted to or not. Okay. I'm kind of taking this in a different, kind of a mathematical formula. Okay. If Batman throws the Joker off a cliff, Batman, being the detective and closure, is going to bring the body back. Oh, I didn't find a body. Then he's not dead, and I'm going to hunt him. Now, maybe I don't want to tell that story. I want the Joker to get away. But Batman is not my character. That character is not going to let that go. Whether I like it or not, I have to write the Batman story where Batman pursues every single lead until he gets closure on that issue, because that's what he does. It's like watching one of the Christopher Nolan films. I'm like, well, I get it that Christian Bale is supposed to be playing Batman at a point when he's kind of withdrawn and he's not actively waging his one-man war on crime. Oh no, the true character of Batman never surrenders his war on crime. If public sentiment turns against him, then so be it. He fights crime with no public sentiment. If the police pursue him, then so be it. But Batman never quits. There isn't a Christopher Nolan. Have a good one now.
All right, see y'all. Take care.
There's no Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale, Batman who has quit. That's not Batman. So whether or not Nolan liked it, he should have rewritten that script so that Batman was still active.
Okay, what?
But that's not where the fiat of that story went.
Okay, but what about Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns?
Once again, Miller took, a non-canonical approach. Well, this is non-canon to anything except for Frank Miller's own story. It was meant to be a self-contained thing. I will accept it in that context because what Miller is saying, it's non-canon. It's not actually part of any of the Batman mythology. Oh, in that case, I don't have to think of this character in the context of everything from Detective 27 to now, because this is like it's almost like an Elseworlds. Yeah, that could happen, but we're not talking about an Elseworlds. We're talking about putting this in the here and now, in the ongoing whatever. But, the real question was, why don't we do a Batman kills the Joker story? Well, there are simple answers to that question.
Yeah.
One, Batman doesn't set himself up as the executioner. A little bit of judging, a little bit of jurying, no execution. The real question I have is, why doesn't the state, wherever Gotham City is, whatever state it's supposed to be in, why doesn't that state have a death penalty? How is it that this guy has been able to get loose so many times and work so much mayhem, and the state hasn't put him to death? It's not Batman's responsibility to decide you live and you die, you come to jail, but no, you've lived too long. Batman doesn't do that. That's what a judicial process is for. There's a judicial process. Why should Batman have to make the moral judgments? Jury of your peers, judge, okay, the Joker dies, and we're done. We have to come up with a new Batman villain now. I'd be okay with that. If that's how the story were told, and if the story were told intelligently, I'd be fine with that. But it's not Batman's responsibility to kill the Joker. It's not Spider-Man's responsibility to kill the Green Goblin. Norman Osborn should never have been brought back to life anyway, but each hero is not on the hook for the death of their opponent. That's what the judicial process is for. I am usurping the law to some degree by putting on a costume and fighting crime in the streets, yes, but hey, when I beat the villain for you and then hand him over to you,
it's your job to do.
Now it's your job to do whatever needs to be done.
I just think don't you think this Arkham security just sucks after a while?
Well, there are probably a lot of people in Arkham that don't escape. Whenever Batman's been trapped in Arkham, there seem to be a lot of inmates. So some of them are pretty crafty and wily, but not all of them.